We do have multiple fatalities. All ICE agents and officers at the location are accounted for right now. It's still an active scene. From what we know, the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dallas Police Department and the Texas Department of Public Safety have been great help to secure the scene. So it's still active right now in the sense that we're still trying to learn more why this happened, anyone else is involved, and just really securing the area and making sure our people are safe.
The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said in a statement that the shooter's motive is unknown. The director says it appears the suspect shot from a sniper position. Our coverage continues on ABC News Live and abcnews.com, and we will have a complete wrap-up on World News Tonight with David Muir. I'm Diane Macedo in New York. Now we'll return to your regular programming. For some of you, that's Good Morning America. Have a good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
Yes, I have no visuals. My monitor was off that whole time. And we are continuing to follow breaking news here on ABC News Live. First, law enforcement is responding to a shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons is confirming to ABC News that there are multiple fatalities and that the shooter is down from a self-inflicted injury. The acting director is sharing his concern now for his agent's safety.
Initially, 3 individuals were shot. We do have multiple fatalities. All ICE agents and officers at the location are accounted for right now. It's still an active scene. From what we know, the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dallas Police Department and the Texas Department of Public Safety have been great help to secure the scene. So it's still active right now in the sense that we're still trying to learn more why this happened, anyone else is involved, and just really securing the area and making sure our people are safe.
And the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, is responding on social media, saying, while we don't know motive yet, we do know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them. It must stop. Let's bring in former FBI agent Brad Garrett. Brad, I know it's still early, but what are you watching for in this investigation? What's the first question that authorities are going to want answered here?
Is he a lone actor, which appears to be the case? We don't really know. But you always have to put, obviously, safety first. So clearing that he did act alone, but secondarily, is he connected to anyone? In other words, in some form or fashion, was this a group effort? Did people cheer him on? Did people help him plan this? Because he just didn't all of a sudden show up on that roof. He had to figure out, yes, that's where the ICE facility is, and yes, if I get on this particular roof, I'll have a clear shot into this, as the director of ICE in Dallas described, as a sally port, which by its very nature tends to be open. All of that took some planning. Did anybody help him do that? Where did he get the weapon? Is it something that he acquired, got from somebody else? Had it legally, not legally? Typically people who commit these type of shootings get their weapons legally. They either buy them or they already had them for whatever reason. But it's putting out that initial fire of, do we have a handle on what happened here as far as safety of, obviously, ICE personnel, but clearly the community at large.
And Brad, how do they go about determining that, right? They say that the suspected shooter is dead here. How do you ensure that this person was acting alone?
Well, you don't until you're able to actually put together a background. Now, the analysts that do all of the computer stuff and pull up information about an individual off their social media, you can get emergency warrants to start looking at if he has accounts with various social media sites to see if there's anything there. Clearly, wherever he resided, they're going to be, if they're not already, inside that residence. And physically, is there anything there? Is there anyone there that has information about what happened today? Clearly, if he has a cell phone, you're going to look at that quickly. Did he text somebody, or did somebody text him or talk to him? Because it's going to be really important, again, as I mentioned earlier, is connection to other people, either directly or indirectly, in reference to the shooting.
So, Brad, what happens next here?
So I think, once they alleviate that, yes, he's a lone shooter, that particular threat is gone, you then have to think about the following, is what vulnerabilities do we being ICE, have at various facilities around the country? Because clearly their role in law enforcement and arresting people is huge now, based on the numbers of people they apparently, via quotas, etc., arrest a day. And so it's going to tighten up, I think, security around these various facilities. I don't know that you have any choice. You can't put a sniper on the roof of every building around an ICE facility. You can certainly be driven to that point if you have intelligence, but you're going to have to figure out how to make a facility more secure. And, that's going to be limited, obviously, Diane, to the architecture of the building. But they're not going to be able to afford, I don't think, unloading in and out of a van, whatever it might be, folks that they've arrested out in the open. I think it's going to have to be something they're really going to have to think strongly about, which could be logistically a nightmare. So we'll see. They may also have to change how they actually go about arresting people, because that's one of the things it appears, particularly in immigrant communities around the country, who are extremely upset about the way ICE goes about doing these arrests.
All right. Brad Garrett, thank you. We'll be right back.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed.
Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas,
Edinburgh, Scotland.
from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives. And the magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky,
Minneapolis,
Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
I did not picture myself surviving through that day.
He was tracking her.
He was everywhere.
I heard the squeak of a floorboard. I've been kidnapped. This becomes a fight for my life.
And we're all holding our breath.
My mind is the only thing that's going to get me out of here.
Open the door!
This is a horror film.
Stalking Samantha, 13 Years of Terror, only on Hulu.
I was in disbelief that I'd never heard of it before.
Paula Cole, Erica Badu,
Sinead O'Connor,
Missy Elliott,
Sarah McLachlan, Sheryl Crow, Jewel, women singer-songwriters in the 90s. Heard on Northern Stars.
Now you can listen to a podcast version of World News Tonight, available free wherever you listen. David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, the most watched newscast in America, and honored with the Emmy Award, winner for Outstanding Live News Program.
ABC's Nightline, the stories that shape your world, that shape your life. Dramatic, stunning, empowering, life-changing. For 45 years, the most powerful stories of our time.
This is Nightline.
Wherever the story is, Nightline will take you there. Just because it's late night doesn't mean you should be in the dark. For a brighter take on the day, this is ABC's Nightline. Late night on ABC.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
GMA tomorrow.
I realized if you want to talk about the fun stuff, you have to talk about the painful stuff. And that was the toughest, Robin. Listen to me.
Lionel Richie, as you have not seen.
When you look back to your previous marriages, what would you tell your younger self?
The Robin Roberts exclusive.
For the interviews that we have had, you can probably tell me half of my life story.
Breaks tomorrow morning on ABC's Good Morning America.
Brookfield Police! Brookfield Police!
Holy Friday night.
Stabbing someone in the heart is extremely evil and extremely personal.
2020 unravels a stunning true crime.
So how does the stalker know every move?
Follow the clues.
He was very elusive and very good at hiding his tracks.
In a race against time to catch a killer.
Go, 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 go. Show your hands!
All new 2020 season premiere, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Hi, I'm Diane Macedo. Welcome back to ABC News Live. First, we want to give you an update on that breaking news. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons is confirming to ABC News that there are multiple fatalities after a shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Director Lyons says that shooter is down from a self-inflicted injury after opening fire from a sniper position, and now he's sharing concern for the safety of his agents and detainees.
It appears to be a sniper from an elevated position. Initially, 3 individuals were shot. We do have multiple fatalities. All ICE agents and officers at the location are accounted for right now. It's still an active scene. From what we know, the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dallas Police Department and the Texas Department of Public Safety have been great help to secure the scene. So it's still active right now in the sense that we're still trying to learn more why this happened, anyone else is involved, and just really securing the area and making sure our people are safe.
And Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem is responding on social media saying, while we don't know motive yet, we know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them. It must stop. And Maria Villarreal is on the phone with us on her way to that ICE facility right now. Maria, what are you hearing here? What do we know so far?
You know, Diane, as of right now, a lot of preliminary information is coming in from our sources. The one thing we want to point out that would be helpful, right, is the location of where this all happened. I mean, we're not talking about a facility that is out in the rural area, for example, of what you would imagine of an ICE facility, what we've seen, for example, with, Alligator Alcatraz. What you're looking at is a building and facility that is pretty much in the heart of Dallas. And so this is a facility that a lot of people have access to. And while it is a secured facility, at the same time, right outside this building, you could have, normal people walking their everyday lives. Right now, what sources are telling me is that they do believe that there were detainees that were targeted in this. We're working to get more information on their condition right now, but we do know that it wasn't law enforcement that was targeted in this situation.
Maria, can you walk me through the process of transferring detainees and certain other things that happen in open air?
That's a really good point of explanation here, Diane. When you have people that are detained by ICE or are going through immigration processes, what you will have a lot of times is that they will be picked up from a local law enforcement agency, a jail, for example. In this area, it might have been the Dallas County Sheriff or Dallas Police Department. If that happens here, then they will be put into ICE, detention. They will be taken from whatever law enforcement facility they are at, and then they will be moved to either an ICE detention facility, a large one, or they will have their courts heard. And so more than likely what we were seeing in the situation is the detainees were being taken off of whatever transportation they were on. They were moving from that bus, let's just say, into the Sally Port area before being taken inside the building. And that is open air. So that might have been where all of this happened. Again, we're waiting to get more information from law enforcement on the exact location, but that is where you have open air areas. And if we're talking about a building in this location, there are a number of buildings that surround this particular federal location. It would have been easy for someone to get up on a building and actually see down into that Sally Port.
Right. What can you tell us about that area?
This is a part of Dallas that, has a lot of industrial area, industrial businesses. It's very unsuspecting. A lot of people think that ICE detention facilities, ICE buildings, even immigration courts, have these big, signs and things everywhere. Really what this location is meant to be and is unsuspecting, right? So, you do have the securities of law enforcement, but there are regular businesses that are all around.
Maria, we're expecting a presser now from Dallas law enforcement at any moment. What are you listening for there?
I think what we're going to hopefully hear from them is more clarity on exactly who was shot. I think it's really important right now, Diane, especially in this moment, coming off of what we just saw, in Utah with Charlie Kirk. Clearly law enforcement is on heightened alert all over our country. But when it comes to immigration especially, we have a lot of players involved here. It's a very divisive issue. And so for me, what I want to hear from law enforcement is clarity, right, on who was targeted, their conditions. But also on the other side of it is I want to hear a little bit more about what you just asked, which is the security measures around this area. I think for the longest time, what we've seen both in the field when it comes to immigration processing and also at these facilities is that, the type of security around these detainees isn't as intense as you would expect it to be. I do think we have seen a shift over the last 8 months or so because as the Trump administration, right, is more aggressive in their tactics to try and deport more people, we're also seeing, that divisiveness come to fruition in the form of protesting, even on ICE facility locations. So I'd like to know a little bit more about the security that was around this particular facility. What measures were in place to protect not just detainees, but law enforcement as well?
Maria, I just spoke a little while ago to the acting ICE director. He said threats against agents are up 1,000%. And he talked a lot about rhetoric, but we also hear rhetoric against detainees as well. And he made clear that his priority is the safety of his agents and his officers, anyone else who works for ICE, but also for the people in their custody.
Listen, I've spoken with the director a number of times as well, both in the field and, in Washington, D.C. I think that, I believe him when he says that his priority is the protection of law enforcement agents and the people in his custody. But, I think also what we've seen a lot of more recently is, an uptick in the protection of the law enforcement officers in these situations, but maybe not necessarily the detainees, the immigrants, the migrants that they are putting in their custody. I'd like to hear a little bit more, though, from law enforcement about what exactly was in place before, passing any sort of judgment on exactly what went down and what law enforcement has been experiencing.
He did also talk about possible changes to protocol that will have to happen because of this. Are there any you're particularly curious about?
I think for the protocol part of this, I think I need to take a closer look at some of what's in place because things are constantly changing with this particular administration as far as, what they are doing differently, what they're trying to do to obviously, adjust the atmosphere of what we are seeing, the escalation of not just the rhetoric, on law enforcement, the aggressiveness and on law enforcement, but also on the other side of it as well. And so, I think for me, I'd like to see what sort of policies they really do have in place, not just for law enforcement to protect them, but for detainees as well. Has anything changed?
And again, for anyone just joining us, we are following this breaking news of a shooting at a Texas ICE facility. The acting ICE director tells me there are multiple fatalities here, and we are just following this story as it unfolds. I want to bring in our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas. Pierre, so far, the acting ICE director is saying that the shooter is dead from a self-inflicted injury and that this was someone who shot from a sniper position. What's the latest on the investigation?
Well, I think he has the latest information which he gave you. And Diane, I think the most important thing, element of this so far is the notion that the shooter likely fired from a sniper position, I think is the word he used in the broadcast with you. That suggests a level of planning. That suggests a level of intent. And it's obviously going to cause great concern because when you're firing from an elevated position, you don't necessarily know who you might be hitting, but it's clear that that facility was likely the target. And that's the impression I'm getting from talking to, ICE officials and others monitoring the situation. And, it comes at a moment where there have been increasing threats of violence and violence according to Homeland Security officials. They've been concerned about it. We had 2 incidents in Texas this past summer in July, one involving a Border Patrol facility in which many shots were fired into that facility, and another incident where shots were fired and a local officer was wounded at an ICE detention facility also in Texas. So this comes at a moment where there's elevated concerns about all kinds of violence in public squares, if you will. We just had the assassination of Charlie Kirk, again, from an elevated position. So law enforcement right now is in an all hands-on-deck mode, and we are really talking about what sources are again describing as perhaps the most dangerous threat environment since 9/11.
And Pierre, we're watching them get set up now for this press conference. We expect law enforcement in Dallas to update us on this investigation. What are you listening for there?
Again, more details about the shooter. Have they gotten an identification on the shooter? What kind of weapon was involved? And again, obviously, the biggest concern, who was injured, who died, those kind of details.
Pierre, thank you. And I want to bring in former FBI agent Brad Garrett for a little more on this. Brad, the fear after anything like this is, along with many other things, copycat crimes. Do you think this puts other agents in the field right now in more danger?
I don't think there's any doubt. Only because that the level of anger and rage, particularly from immigrant communities around the country toward ICE and the way they're arresting people, I think is at a fever pitch. And if you add to that how they go into neighborhoods, and I'm not criticizing this, but it's kind of the reality. If you go into a neighborhood, you have no identity on. In other words, every raid I did, I had on, body armor that said FBI on it. I had jackets. I had hats. They clearly knew it was the FBI coming into a neighborhood. That does set somewhat of a tone. If you go in the way they've been going in, people then think, well, who is this? And it adds to the anger and rage. I get why they do it, but they're going to have to think long and hard about continuing to do that. And the reality is, as they commit various arrests, let's say there's going to be a number of people, something like a Home Depot type setting, they're going to have to take backup with them. So in other words, when I would go into a high-risk residence to arrest somebody, obviously I had the SWAT team go in first, but I also had uniformed police on the street just to keep us covered in case somebody showed up. They're going to have to routinely, and maybe they are doing that, and I hope they are, but that's going to have to, in particular, be picked up as they move forward.
Brad, that said, in this case, the director is confirming that his officers and agents are all accounted for, that the victims may be detainees, and we heard Maria saying that it was detainees who were targeted here. So what about the safety of detainees now? Are they in more danger, and does more need to be done to keep them safe?
Well, exactly, and that goes back to how secure can you make the upload and download of vehicles at an ICE facility. In this case, obviously, a sniper was able to witness what was going on in that Sally port. They're going to have to alter that some way. They're going to have to create, either not use that facility in the way that they're using it, or they're going to have to put up barricades of some sort. I'm talking about bulletproof type stuff that you could pull into the Sally port, but even if somebody were like on a roof or on the street, they wouldn't have the ability to just shoot into where you are. Now that could be a logistical nightmare if you think about locations. And, I get that ICE locations in the middle of nowhere eliminate a lot of the potential threat, but you just can't have them all in the middle of nowhere. The volume of arrests that are occurring, they really need to be in close proximity of places like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, fill in the blank. They can't drive 3 hours to drop people off every time you pick them up. So there's all of that adds more personnel that they're going to need to maybe keep keep their operations as safe as they can.
All right, Brad Garrett, Pierre Thomas, Maria Villarreal, thank you all. And again, we are awaiting that presser at any moment there on this shooting at a Texas ICE facility. We will have the latest on that coming up right after this break. Stay with us.
ruby slippers are the most famous shoes in the world.
What would the shoes be worth today?
A lot. The shoes were stolen.
Stolen.
We worked together with the FBI. Heaven only knows how many feet went into that pair of shoes.
There is more to this than anybody realizes.
Who knows where this is going to lead?
It's gonna get real.
Welcome back. Give me what you got.
So excited.
Everyone, Ms. Teague will now have 40 students, and I, for one, am excited to see if it will break her.
It won't. It might.
I like that.
Promise not to let go.
I got you.
I like that.
You promised you wouldn't let me fall. Same old habit.
I like the way you do that right there, right there.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work. Hi. Where are you? Where are you? Appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
I watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Hi, I'm Diane Macedo. Welcome back to ABC News Live First. We are still following that breaking news in Texas. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons is confirming to ABC News that there are multiple fatalities after a shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Director Lyons tells me that shooter is down from a self-inflicted injury, and now he's sharing concern for the safety of his agents and detainees.
It appears to be a sniper from an elevated position. Initially, 3 individuals were shot. We do have multiple fatalities. All ICE agents and officers at the location are accounted for right now. It's still an active scene. From what we know, the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dallas Police Department and the Texas Department of Public Safety have been great help to secure the scene. So it's still active right now in the sense that we're still trying to learn more why this happened, anyone else is involved, and just really securing the area and making sure our people are safe.
And the director says the victims here may have been detainees. Let's bring in former FBI agent Brad Garrett and our chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky. Aaron, we're looking right now at Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's response to this. What's the latest?
So you can see she says multiple injuries and fatalities, Diane, and we believe that there were 3 detainees who were shot in a Sallyport area of the ICE facility along I-35 in Dallas. There was some kind of movement of those detainees happening, either arriving or departing. We're not sure who was targeted, whether it was the detainees or whether it was the ICE agents that were moving them. That's going to be a key part of the investigation. But you heard from the acting director, he is very concerned about the safety of ICE agents as they carry out what has become a controversial mission in the country. And he says he's going to put all ICE facilities in the country on a higher alert today.
He also said, along with that top priority is the priority of protecting the detainees in his custody, which he's also responsible for. I want to bring that point to Brad. Brad, could we see protocols change because of this? The director himself said that may be the case. What do you think could make this more safe?
Well, you're clearly, as you take folks into custody, you're going to have to make sure that you're not sort of in a wide open area. So in other words, if you arrest people on the street, at a 7-Eleven, at a Home Depot, wherever it might be, you may need to move them to a more secure, in other words, if you have a van you're going to put them in, move them maybe to the side of the van to talk to them, to clear them, where you're not really standing out in the open. And that combined, obviously, with additional personnel, law enforcement personnel, typically it's going to be uniformed folks from whatever jurisdiction you're in, to give you additional security. And my guess is they're doing this, but they may have to do it in a bigger fashion to protect both the detainees and the ICE employees and FBI, DEA, etc., who predictably may be there, all of that has to be protected. So it's another layer that they probably didn't think about or need to think about. I'm still intrigued about who actually got shot, though. If you listen to Acting Director Lyons, he said something about contract employees. If that's accurate at all, then they may have on some type of uniform. So we'll have to, it's still unclear. The short answer is, who was the target here? And hopefully this press conference shortly will maybe enlighten us on that topic.
And we are expecting to hear from authorities there at any moment. You can see them getting set up for that press conference right now, Aaron. Big question, among other things, will be who these victims were, who was targeted in this shooting. What else are you listening for?
Well, multiple sources told ABC News it was detainees who were shot. Now, there's some indication that maybe a busload of them were arriving or departing as the Sallyport came under fire. But and as you did, spoke to the acting director of ICE just a few moments ago, and he was very concerned that a suspect could clamber up onto a rooftop and shoot from an elevated position down into that Sallyport area. He said he's going to have to look at whether there are underground movements that have to be made now, because he's concerned, as you say, both of the safety of agents, but also of the detainees in ICE's custody. He also was saying that his agents have come under increasing threat because of the controversial mission that ICE has been carrying out at the direction of President Trump, and an aim from the administration to deport more undocumented immigrants in the country. He says he's trying to emphasize to the public that his agents carry out the mission. They don't decide the mission, but he is very concerned about their safety.
Yeah, he said threats are up 1,000%. Brad, the other, I'm sure, top priority for the investigation now is to ensure that this alleged shooter, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, was working alone here.
No doubt. And my guess is he actually committed the shooting alone, but secondarily, did anybody aid or help him in any way, via the weapon, via planning? We'll have to see. He's a young enough age that I would guess he'll have a social media profile. There may be some information there. There also may be additional information about him and his circumstances based on where he lives, which I'm going to guess now we're into a number of hours that they're in that location, figuring out, what is there and who else lives there that could provide information. But, more importantly, at least at the scene, did he have a cell phone? And who did he talk to shortly before this occurred, or maybe even hours before? That can give them some leads as to what's maybe going on with him.
And again, just moments ago, I spoke to the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, about the shooting. Here's what he had to say. What do we know so far?
So what we know so far definitely is that there was a active shooter at the Dallas location about 7:40 East Coast time. It appears to be a sniper from an elevated position. Initially 3 individuals were shot. We do have multiple fatalities. All ICE agents and officers at the location are accounted for right now. It's still an active scene. From what we know, the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dallas Police Department and the Texas Department of Public Safety have been great help to secure the scene. So it's still active right now in the sense that we're still trying to learn more why this happened, anyone else is involved, and just really securing the area and making sure our people are safe.
Well, any more information on the suspect here?
No, we haven't heard anything yet. We're still waiting to hear from the locals who are securing the scene at a location away.
Or any of that?
No, not yet.
What about the victims? So
we're still working with the victims right now. 3 we're taking to local hospitals. I am hearing, though, that there are fatalities right now. Obviously our thoughts and prayers are going out to everyone in that scene. Kind of we were talking before we came on. That's the office I grew up in. I know exactly that area. It was a secure location. The shooter obviously fired into a spot where our officers and agents would be inside of a secure location, where we're doing a lot of our process with our arrested individuals. So it's definitely a scary time, especially with this increase of violence against law enforcement. It's just it's very stressful right now.
But you say all officers and agents are accounted for, so the victims are not officers or agents from ICE?
They're not employees of ICE. We are getting preliminary reports that some of our detainees are possible Contract staffers were still working through that. Obviously, it's still fluid as far as notifying families and things like that. But.
And can you tell me what was happening at the facility when the shooting happened?
So that area is what's considered our Sally Port. It's a secure location where we bring in arrested individuals for processing, for patting down, for transported out, different things like that. So it's a secure location, but it's not covered. And that's where I think the shots came in from an elevated position down into the location.
We heard earlier that the shooter died of a self-inflicted injury. Are investigators looking for any other shooters, any possibility this person wasn't working alone?
Well, anytime there is a shooting like that, we want to make sure everyone's safe and secure, especially for the public and all that. It's a business area around there with restaurants, office parks. We want to make sure that that's safe. Dallas Police is doing a great job securing that area, and they're making sure that there are no other individuals involved this time. But as of now, the area is secure, and we have no other indication that any more shooters are on scene.
Any indication this suspect was inside the ICE facility at any point?
No, it just appears that it was all taking place from an elevated position, a couple hundred yards away from the ICE facility.
Secretary Noem and many others have discussed the increased risk for ICE agents. You and I were talking about it right before we came on the air. Did this field office have extra security?
All of our offices have an increased presence now with security from Federal Protective Services. Just because, like I said, assaults and threats on officers are up 1,000% since January 20th.
1,000%.
1,000% more than we ever had. And it's just getting worse. And these keep getting elevated and elevated. In this field office itself, there was a bomb threat almost to the day where an individual came up claiming that he had a bomb strapped to him in August. And just in July, we had officers and agents ambushed about 40 minutes away in Alvarado, Texas, by a group with military-style weapons on July 4th. So it just, the attacks and threats on ICE agents just keep increasing, and it has to stop.
What are you looking for next in this investigation? What are the next steps here?
Next steps here is obviously identifying that shooter, seeing what his motive was, seeing if he had any support, seeing who funded him, where the weapon came from. And just really trying to figure out what went on in this situation. And obviously, next step for us is making sure that our officers and agents are safe. That's my biggest fear every night, especially with these increases, that everyone gets home safe every night. We've got to make sure our buildings and facilities are protected. Not only that, but for our other civilian employees as well as our detainees as well. That's my number one concern, is make sure everyone's safe. But we got to figure out what caused this incident today.
Could this change any protocols for ICE, like how you transfer detainees in open air and so on?
Yeah, I'm thinking, obviously, like I said, my number one priority is making sure the men and women of ICE are safe, and whatever we can do to make sure that nothing like this happens again, and we take care of our people, as well as people that we're entrusted to. As far as ones we arrested, we're responsible for them as well. We have to make sure that everyone's safe.
What do you want people to understand right now?
What I want is people to understand that the men and women of ICE are doing a law enforcement mission. They're sworn law enforcement officers just like everyone else. And these attacks and the rhetoric and the threats against ICE agents and their families needs to stop for all law enforcement. In this operation in Dallas, it wasn't just ICE officers every day working out of there. We have the FBI, ATF, DEA, all our other federal partners and local partners. So any attack on an ICE facility, you're not attacking ICE. You're attacking just brave men and women in law enforcement who wear the badge every day. And that we got to make sure we protect those men and women.
Are you worried for your own safety?
I am, but I'm much more worried about the men and women under me. They're my number one reason, and I just want to make sure that they're protected every day.
What do you think your biggest challenge is now?
My biggest challenge is still doing our law enforcement mission, but protect ourselves. We've had to see an increase where, like in sanctuary jurisdictions, where we don't have cooperation, where we have to go into the community when local law enforcement won't turn over an individual to us, where we have to go and make that arrest. Instead of going out with 5 or 6 agents to make that arrest, we now have to go out 10, 12 to protect the team that's making the arrest. Never my 20-year career did I think that we'd have to send law enforcement to protect law enforcement while we're doing a mission.
Do you think ICE has to change how it conducts its raids at all?
I think we still need to focus on what we've been doing, which is using intelligence-based specific targets, going after the worst of the worst, and just still doing that law enforcement mission to prove that we are going after public safety threats. We need to focus on that. But obviously with situations like this, it won't deter us, but we have to make sure our posture is set that with men and women and our other federal partners go home safe every day.
And I want to bring in a former FBI agent, Brad Garrett, who's a contributor with us as well. Brad, what are you watching for in this investigation now?
I think a couple of things. One, as we talked about earlier, of perhaps the motive of the shooter, but more importantly, is he a lone actor? is he connected to other people that have motivations to do the same thing? Now, it's still unclear to me, obviously, who the target was here. Was it ICE employees? Was it, folks in some form of immigration status that may have been around where the shooting occurred? We'll have to see, because that does give you some direction maybe of where to go in an investigation. But the key component, obviously, is the shooter and what is known about him. And my guess is, because we're into, well over a couple of hours of this shooting, that they know who he is, who he's connected to. But that's really the most important thing at this point, is to make sure they don't have another immediate threat. And secondarily, obviously, they're going to have to look, as the director pointed out, additional security, even places where they upload and offload folks they arrest, that they're going to have to change, that maybe can't be in the open anymore. You can see logistically how that may be difficult.
Brad, what does that additional security look like when you have a sniper attack? I imagine that's one of the most hardest to protect against.
Totally. And it's not realistic to every time you bring people in and out of a facility, and let's face it, that's going to be big numbers today, to have snipers 24/7 on the various roofs around a building. So, that would probably be driven via intelligence. But as far as the logistics, Diane, in other words, if you have a sally port, as they've described, I haven't looked at it yet, but where obviously a sniper has at least visual access to where people are brought in and ICE officers and agents are moving around, you're going to figure out some way to close that off. In other words, put up barriers that if, in fact, while they're doing their work, nobody can shoot them, at least from a building. Now, depending on the architecture and design and location of the building, that's going to drive how much you might have to do. But I mean, this is really a serious, serious problem for ICE. And, let alone, as the director pointed out, they're just having issues in communities in safely arresting people without their agents getting harmed. So I see this, majorly escalating for them from a security standpoint.
Director Lyons, your quick reaction to that, and where do you go from here?
I agree with what was said. We have to make sure that we reevaluate and look at how we're going to protect our officers and agents. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, we're not going to be deterred. But, obviously it's heavy on me to make sure that the men and women are safe. And we're going to have to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that they go home every night.
All right. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, former FBI agent Brad Garrett, thank you both. And we are waiting for officials to give an update on that deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. As you just heard, the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, tells ABC News there are multiple fatalities. He also says the shooter is dead from a self-inflicted gunshot after opening fire from a sniper position. ABC's Maria Real is at that press conference. Maria, what's the latest?
Diane, listen, it's a very fluid situation. Behind me, you can actually see there is a lot of law enforcement here, local as well as federal. On the other side of this Burger King that I'm standing off of, right off the highway, I saw ATF, FBI. We just saw an ICE vehicle also pull up. So very heavy law enforcement presence to try and get out the very latest information. As you mentioned, this did happen several hours ago, right around 6:40 Central Time, so Texas time. Obviously, a lot has gone on between now and then. Very calculated, obviously investigation into figuring out not just the shooter, but the motives as well. And obviously the situation with the people that were shot.
And I want to bring in ABC News contributor, former FBI agent Brad Garrett. Brad, multiple sources are now telling us that these victims are detainees. What does that do for the investigation and the search for a motive?
Well, I don't think the motive is going to be difficult to figure out, Diane. If let's say that's accurate, that the detainees, not ICE employees, were the target, is that obviously this shooter and whoever he or she is connected to, have an issue with immigrants and immigration here in this country, and he will not have been silent about that. To go to the extreme depths that he has gone to get on a roof, start shooting people from a distance, something he had to plan in advance. This is a big issue in this person's life. And if that's the case, there'll be things connected or attached to his life that support that way of thinking. And I would not think it would be that difficult to find.
And Maria, this is just the latest in a series of attacks on ICE facilities.
Hello.
It is, Diane, and I think that the major concern here is what Brad is talking about earlier, which is the idea that the facility here, what is the security protocols, not just for law enforcement, but also for the detainees as well, what was already in place. I mean, obviously this is a very open area. I mean, right, we're not more than about a mile or so from where the shooting happened. This is the media staging area for now. I mean, but this area is right off a busy highway here in Dallas, where there's a lot of traffic. It's not that this is not an inaccessible location for people to get to. And then, Diane, I want to point out something that Brad just talked about right now, which is the immigration issue, right? We know that this is a very divisive issue. We've talked about that previously. But, even at its core here in this particular community, it's divisive. You have a mayor here that is, that skews red, that obviously is very supportive of the Trump administration. And then on the other side of it, you have county leaders that are on the opposite end of how we should be handling an issue like immigration. So, I think that is really going to play out in not just what we hear today as part of the investigation, but really how the community is feeling as a whole in regards to this particular issue.
And the FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is now saying the FBI is fully engaged in conjunction with our state and federal law enforcement partners at the crime scene there in Dallas. Brad, what are you listening for as authorities give us the update in this press conference?
I want to know as much as they're willing to release about the victims, what information they've now come up with about the alleged shooter. Is the community safe? Are there any other connections, attachments, whatever it might be to this shooter? And what they're going to do in the future to protect both immigrants and officers at the various locations around the country, which is going to be, in my view, a daunting task. They obviously have to do it and need to do it, but it's a big, big deal. And in particular, the number of people you may need to keep facilities and operational folks, in other words, the agents from whatever federal agency they might be from, going out into the field to conduct these, arrests that by their nature are very fluid. You're going to doors, you're going to businesses, wherever, and things can go sideways really quickly. In unrelated situations, I've had it happen to me a number of times. And so you have to think about that, which adds more personnel, both from local law enforcement as well as the agents doing the arrest.
All right, Brad Garrett, Maria Villarreal, thank you both. And again, we are awaiting that press conference on a shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. We will have the latest on that right after this break. Stay with us.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television. GMA tomorrow.
I realized we want to talk about the fun stuff. You have to talk about the painful stuff.
Lionel Richie, as you have not seen.
And that was the toughest, Robin. Listen to me.
The Robin Roberts exclusive breaks tomorrow morning on GMA.
Brookfield Police! Brookfield Police!
Holy Friday night.
Stabbing someone in the heart is extremely evil and extremely personal.
2020 unravels a stunning true crime.
So how does this stalker know every move?
Follow the clues.
He was very elusive and very good at hiding his tracks.
In a race against time to catch a killer.
Go, 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 go. Show your hands!
All new 2020 season premiere. Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC. The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall
downfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
We're in artillery position about 2 miles away from Gaza.
And ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Traveling with the president to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Here in London today.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii. Some areas are still smoldering.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines,
the ruins of Rafah.
From the FBI.
Reporting from Capitol Hill.
In western Portugal, outside of Mexico City.
In Iceland. Let's go.
Here in France.
The eclipse across America.
Just stunning.
Unbelievable.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere because the news never stops.
Tonight on ABC, celebrate the birthday of a true original.
Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters.
Barbara.
Stand by, please. With the broadcast television premiere of the doc critics call riveting, thrilling history, sharp and inquiring in a playful way.
Oh, God.
Enjoyable, extraordinary.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters, Tell Me Everything. Tonight on ABC.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. First, the maker of Tylenol is bracing for potential lawsuits as the Trump administration tries to link use in pregnancy to risk of autism. While the FDA says no studies have shown a causal link, the agency is still trying to change the label on Tylenol to warn pregnant women about what the administration calls the risk of autism. And that could open the door for a wave of legal challenges. Now the World Health Organization is weighing in, saying, quote, there is currently no conclusive scientific evidence confirming a possible link between autism and the use of acetaminophen during pregnancy. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hey, Diane, this could really be a legal headache for the maker of Tylenol. Legal experts say that families could now be looking to sue the drug maker after the Trump administration linked the use of acetaminophen in pregnancy to autism.